On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Xtreme Lyfe podcast, episode 25. On the show today, I have a special guest, Kerry, correspondent for MMA UK. She's an awesome person. We cover a lot of ground in this interview. We talk for about an hour, and we cover politics. We covered mental health, substance abuse. Of course, we covered MMA, UFC, PFL, Bellator, just a bunch of different things. But really cool person, friend of mine. We've been friends for a while now, and just a really cool individual, full of energy, fun person to talk to. As she would call it, a spicy person. she has a spicy personality, which definitely, like I said, I find it refreshing and a lot of fun to talk to her. And it was, in my opinion, a wonderful podcast. Hope you enjoy it, and here you go.
That is what it is. Pull this closer.
No worries.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
It's been an interesting couple of weeks around here. I'm just like on a whirlwind. There's so much happening. So
I know. I'm so excited for you. You've done so much.
Well, it's just you just keep moving. It's between this and everything else. It's just you just got to keep going, one step in front of the other, and one foot in front of the other, and just keep moving. And things are working out okay. It's just you just got to keep doing it. One of the things I started this podcast, it was like, let's just create content and just keep creating content and just keep creating content, and that's basically where everything goes. You just keep putting it out there, and then hopefully sooner or later you figure out what to do with all of it.
Yeah, and something sticks. Like throw it to the wall. Let's just see what happens with this.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And like I said, I have not done one yet that I haven't had some technical difficulties, so we're staying in true form, and they've all been great. So
every time I do an interview, there's a technical I've forgotten to press record before.
Oh.
Where it's like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, why don't I see what time it is? Why don't I see, oh my God, I didn't press record, and every time it's hysterical.
Yeah, and that sucks too, because you usually get some really good stuff in that period of time, and then you're like, and I don't have any of it. It's gone. It's just left to the wind.
Yeah. It sucks when it happens, but it does.
I've done that too. I mean, that's why I got this habit now. I just triple check everything, just like everything's on. The red buttons are on there. The red buttons are on over here. Because I usually record in duplicate and triplicate, so I have audio going in a separate source. I have the video actually recording out to another source too. So I just always make sure I have redundancy, because I learned a long time ago, two is one, one is none.
Yeah, you can't rely on it. You got to just make it happen.
Nah, so thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. And I'm just pulling up a screen here. Sorry. Bear with me for 1 second. Why is that screen? Okay, there we go. All right. I just wanted to, I'm glad you came on. You've been around MMA for a long time, probably longer than me even, and really kind of, I bounce around a lot. I go from CrossFit to MMA. I have a whole lot of different, most of the sports I'm involved in are like the extreme end of sports, the things that people are, kind of off the beaten path. I'm not a football fan. I'm not any of that stuff.
Neither.
Like all the kind of like different things.
No, I don't like football either. Not into that. I don't like baseball. It's like watching paint dry. Not into golf. Like it really has to like pique my interest. I love Muay Thai. So I'm with you on that. I like the extreme stuff.
Yeah, so I'm all about that. Actually, Wadapalooza's going on right now. That's a big CrossFit thing that's happening tonight, or today, and yesterday, and tomorrow, down in Florida. There's the Wilder Fury fight tonight,
Yeah.
which is just insane.
Speaking of what really had me going, and I'm not. Everybody crucifies me for it, but I'm not the biggest boxing fan. I'm kind of why use two weapons when you have four? Plus, adding grappling into it, then you got it's unlimited.
Oh
yeah. So for me, it's more. I'm past boxing. I've done it.
Yeah.
That was my thing when I was younger, but I was watching this show that I recently really got into last season. It's called The Masked Singer, and they take all these famous people that are either singers, Broadway actors, comedians that just happen to either be able to sing well or well enough to be on this show, and they get voted off, and the person with the least amount of votes gets unmasked at that ends of the episode. And last week they had Wilder and Fury come out with masks on, and I immediately knew who it was because you could just tell.
Yeah,
and like, who do you guys think it is? And they do this thing where they say take it off, and they both unmasked, and people were like, what the fuck? And the guy that got unmasked that day was Tony Hawk.
Oh, okay. All right. So another extreme sport,
Oh,
skate.
yeah. They're getting really huge names on it. I tell people, I'm like, if you haven't watched this show yet, watch it. That guy could actually sing. He sang a Cure song. It was really good.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I'm going to have to tune into it, check that out. If not for anything else, just to see Wilder and Fury come out in masks and shock.
First of all, Lil Wayne got kicked off the first episode.
Okay.
The first episode of this season. So I've watched it from the first season. Now this is the third, and the star power that they've gotten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When your first guest getting voted off is freaking Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Oh, and then it was Shaka Khan. I can't imagine who the rest of the people are.
Yeah. No. So now you got to watch the rest of the season to figure that.
Exactly. And I'm not even that kind. I don't watch that shit usually. I don't want.
Yeah.
This really caught my interest. I was like, I like this. This I could get into.
Yeah, no, it's you know what? I have very few shows that I actually watch, and most of the time I can't watch them when they're actually on. I have to record them and check them out later or whatever. And hopefully I don't see anything online or anything that blows the ending or whatever for me, or blows whatever's going to happen in that episode. But it's great though to have something like that you could kind of just unwind with and kind of. You need that too. I think you go so much. I know you're constantly out there. I mean, you're moving. I see what you're doing. You're like at other events all the time. I mean, you're really immersed in the MMA world.
I'm a super hustler.
Which brings me to my one of my first
American hustler.
There you go. You are truly an American hustler. I mean, you and I met at PFL. And, started talking there and we found, we have some mutual interests. You're a diver. I'm a diver, so.
Not yet. I want to be, though. That's something I'm super, that's a dream of mine.
Okay.
A dream. Like I said the other day, I'm just waiting every time I go to the beach for someone to get attacked. I'll try to help. My friend's like, I will trip you if you try to help. But I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I throw in a life preserver.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an interest that you have, and that we connected kind of on that, and and then the MMA. How did you get involved in MMA? Tell me a little bit about what does your journey look like into that world?
Okay, it's actually really, really incredible. For the long short of it, when I started getting into boxing, we'll start with that. That was really what piqued my interest in fighting and combat sports. I was in high school, and one of our teachers, my English teacher, Mr. Roth, shout out to
Mr. Roth.
Yeah, he was the shit, man. He every Friday, if we I don't know if we all passed the test or what, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he would put on a boxing match, an old one, a newer one, whatever. So we constantly, I think I had him for 2 years straight. Got to watch boxing on Fridays, and it was really a great tool to get your students to, want to reel him in. You know what I mean? Oh, look, we got rewards. He would let us leave early. He was like the best teacher. He worked on rewarding more than punishing. So it was really actually a wild way in concept of teaching. And that started it. And then I had a lot of friends growing up that did jujitsu and kickboxing.
Okay.
And I was that kid that was always in trouble and always, so I was really not able to do
You were
much.
always in trouble?
Always punished. Oh, I was that kid so badly. So
You were
my
that
friends would teach me on the side. Like I would have all my guy friends. Like my dad showed me how to throw a punch. My guy friends showed me how to throw a kick. I learned how to wrestle from them and my cousins. And then anyway, in my 20s, I found UFC, and I was like in my early 20s. So I found it in the very beginning, which was amazing. And I didn't know there were other organizations. And my dad calls me one night and he's like, yo, you got to put on Showtime. There's, an MMA fight with two girls. And he's like, and this blonde chick is kicking this other girl's ass. And I'm like, so I turn it on and it's Ronda Rousey versus Misha Tate.
Okay. All right.
And I was like, holy shit, there's a really good looking chick that does this. This is amazing. Now, mind you, I'm sober 12 years. So at that time when I really got into it and really enjoyed it for entertainment purposes, I did start kickboxing in like my mid 20s and loved it. I did a little jujitsu, but really liked more the kickboxing. I liked throwing hands. I liked kicking. I liked that, all about that. Elbows, you name it, I was into it. So, but I was still an addict. So my time wasn't really spent where it could have and should have been, because if I had used it for a tool to get sober, I could have definitely been in there fighting. My hands are gigantic for a girl. I have really big hands. I have the reach of a dude. And I'm 115. I cut down to 105, and I'm so tiny, but I'm really lengthy. So I would give a lot of girls a problem, and I laugh about it too, because I'm like, I could stress to people when their kids are problems, go put them in MMA, because it could change their life. They could get a career doing something that they absolutely love.
And teach them confidence and keep them out of trouble. I mean, and congratulations on 12 years sober. That's unbelievable. That's awesome. I think I shared with you before, I too am in recovery. I've been sober since 2002. So, April 13th, 2002 was my last day of being out there running around being a maniac. But,
February 29th.
So that's awesome. It's another cool thing that, I think people, I think there's a lot more people out there that are in recovery, and it's not like people wear signs, we don't walk around and wear signs. Sometimes you just kind of get from conversation. You can say, I bet you. I remember one time I walked into a Blockbuster and this is going back a ways, because Blockbuster, try to find one now.
We're dating ourselves.
I walked into a Blockbuster several years ago, and I had a late fee, and I was like late on I brought it back like 3 days later, something like that. It was like some $12 fee or whatever. And I had an AA ring on, and the kid goes, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm a friend of Bill's too. And I was like, oh, okay. But, it's kind of, it's good that there's a lot of people out there willing to talk about it and share about it. And you're so free with it. That's great.
Yeah. I'm very open with it. And, it's crazy because that being an addict, I also have bipolar, the two together serve a huge purpose for me, because it makes me be able to do all the stuff that I'm able to do, where I could do 5 articles at the same time, while still doing my side hustles and everything. Like I could do so much, but it's because I have hypomania. So it serves me. I harnessed that crazy, you know what I mean? I took it and I did something with it, and it's crazy. It's awesome.
Use the crazy.
You got to use it. Use the force. So when I got sober, I got back into kickboxing to lose weight, because I was 135 pounds. I walk around at 115 on a 5'5" person's frame. That is a lot of weight. That's like 3 pant sizes, and I'm miserable. So I went to the gym for a while, didn't lose the weight, started kickboxing within months, gone back down to how I wanted to be, super excited. And that was like the first time I ever gained weight in my life. And it was from being on medications and eating like shit and all that business.
Well, sometimes that's one of the things people complain the most about when they have to be on some type of medication, especially antidepressants, drugs like that, tend to make people gain weight. And unfortunately, it doesn't do wonders for your self-esteem or, any of that stuff. So,
but the hypomania also helps combat that. So it's like I have a lot of weird things now that they have all that straightened out, all my medication and everything like that. And I'm, so this wraps into a couple other things of how I really got into this. Was, when I got sober, I started kickboxing again. And then I guess a couple years into it, I took a couple injuries. I cut my hand on a glass, cut my tendon in half. I had to heal a year from that, so I couldn't punch anything, and it still isn't totally right. Yeah. And then when I did heal about a year and a half later, I fell down the stairs and I tore both my shoulders. Oh. Yeah. Reconstructive surgery, 4 surgeries, and I was a miserable person. So my friend and I were sitting there and we were talking with her mom, and we were at the table. She's like, you guys should do a podcast. You guys are really funny together. I think that you get a lot of following. So we're like, yeah. And then one day we're like, what? Fuck it, let's do it.
Why not?
So we sat in her bedroom, and she's wearing it's so funny. She has on this tied up bandana thing, and she's like, gangster hippie, and I'm sporty gangster. So it was so funny. We're sitting there and we just started talking a lot about MMA and UFC, and I called the demise of every champion besides Joanna didn't lose her belt that year, and nor did Mighty Mouse, but Weidman did, Rousey did. So I literally called it all on camera. And I think the episode that made us really big in MMA was when I started talking shit about Chris Cyborg's chin, and I love her now. But this was at the very beginning when I was foolish and I didn't get it. And so
it'll help you, but it'll hurt you at the same time.
And her and I ended up fizzling out. And Mike Washington, who is one of the founders of New York Fight Exchange, contacted me and said, I think you're going to get taken a lot more seriously moving forward without her. And I think that this is you should really, take this as as not as a loss. So I said, you know what, maybe you're right. And everything that we said we were going to accomplish together, which was getting booths at tattoo conventions, sitting cage side for fights. I could go down the list of all the stuff I've done alone. Yeah. Where she said her last words were, you're going to have to do this and you're going to have to do it alone. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. And now 4 years in almost, I have sat at every fight cage side with the exception of UFC, which that will happen one day. But I'm also very, very controversial and I'm very opinionated, and they don't like that.
Yeah. Well, UFC is one of those. It's kind of like that. It's really hard to get into that world.
No, it's the hardest organization to get to, and I get it. I completely understand why. Yeah. But it's funny because the more things that I'm hearing from people, I know the closer and closer that I'm getting. Yeah. Because I still have to really when people tell me everybody knows who you are. I'm like, really? I still go really? People know who I am?
You just, I mean, you'd be surprised. It's kind of funny because, there's people that contact me and I'm like, this is episode 25. That's it. I've been doing this since June of last year. Haven't always been focused on MMA. Yeah. But, it's kind of funny. It's like this person knows you, wants to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, it's like one thing leads to another. I think we were talking about that a little bit earlier. And, it's kind of just, just create. Just keep creating. Be you. Be true to yourself. Whether you're opinionated or not, doesn't matter. Just be true to yourself. And I think whatever's meant to be will be for you. I mean, that's just the philosophy I have in life, in trying to motivate myself and other people around me, of course. But, it's UFC is a tough one.
Big time. It's the toughest. And again, I completely understand why it's, the hardest organization for a fighter to get in. You have to be at the pinnacle of your craft and career to get to that stage. So I know everything that I'm doing, all the little other, promoting events, going to events, throwing my first event with my friends, the 4 of us that threw Players Brawl. I mean, so many little things that I know are just those little things are going to add up to something really big one day. And they already are. It's taking me a lot to finally go, okay, well now, I guess if you're seeing it, I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the humbleness that everybody should have where I'm like, I still get surprised.
Well, and that's it. I mean, and you're definitely, like I said, you're definitely known in the MMA world as somebody who's, you're very prolific in your writing. I mean, you're always putting stuff out. I mean, you're writing for how many people now? You're writing for MMA UK. You're in the Girls Corner. That's yours, though. That's your organization. And what's it? My MMA, I think, too, right?
No, I'm just solely writing for MMA UK. Okay. In the Girls Corner. I'm very, very friendly with Eric Howell from my MMA News. I still very much like them. I have no issues with them. It's just, you grow apart, things change. And MMA UK has been a family. They've been so amazing to me, and I'm predominantly their only journalist slash reporter really in America.
Yeah.
I think now we have a couple guys scattered, but I'm their Northeast girl, and I've put on a lot of people to them, and it's funny because you see, this industry is tough. It's a very tough industry, and I've seen so many people come and go, and I've seen, I've gotten people to work for MMA UK or work with them, and very few have lasted.
Yeah.
Again, it's a cutthroat, and they're not cutthroat. They're great. They're like everybody else. And honestly, I've been on so many platforms, and I get a really big push from them, and I get my reach is huge from them, and I'm known now not just in America, all over Europe. Which is amazing. So it's benefited me in major ways, but it's a very cutthroat industry, and you really see who has that fight in them. Because you could be like, to me, what defines a fighter, right? You have like a person that physically fights, but then you have like people that fight, say, diseases or some really hard situations in life, and there's many things that define a fighter. And in my person, I'm not. I hope nobody takes this offensively if they see it that have left the industry, because it's a tough industry.
It is.
That's the fight or flight.
And you know what? If you're not out there and you're not hustling and you're not a person who has some fairly thick skin, because people are going to say shit about you. I don't read comments. I don't do any of that stuff. I mean, on my Facebook page, I'll post stuff to kind of sometimes get people to say stuff, and it's kind of funny.
I see it and I love it, because you and I are a lot alike. And I get people who message me, they're like, I love that you post shit that nobody else will, and you just don't care. I'm like, if I lose a follower or 5, I don't care. I have 5,000 followers.
Yeah.
People constantly message. I get literally requests every day. I have like 20,000 backup. Don't worry. You're one following. I got a lot more.
Well, funny, because I think, a while back when I sent you a friend request on there, because we had met, and I was like, it kicked back to me and it said, oh, there's too many, she cannot accept any more followers. And I kind of felt bad, because I was like, you're like, okay, you sent me a message saying, listen, I'm just going to boot somebody off. Or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you're like, I'm going to get somebody I don't know that well or whatever, and whatever I don't know or something, and take them off, and then I'll send you a request. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, oh man, I just totally like murdered somebody off her friend.
No, it's usually someone that's like a sketchy, like I'll look through the list, and the first sketchy, weird, like no picture profile I see, I'm like, you're gone. And then I actually clicked on it to see, and most of those are deactivated accounts anyway, but they're still taking a spot up on your friends list. So I'm sorry you deactivated your account. That's not my problem. Room for somebody else.
Yeah, no, that's true. It was just kind of funny, that whole conversation. You're
not the first person. I had people go, I've never seen that before. I didn't know there was a limit. Yeah, 5,000.
5,000. Yeah, the limit's 5,000 once you hit that. And the funny thing is, you're not the first person who's done that for me. And every time it happens, I start laughing. I'm like, oh man. I guess I feel honored, but I also feel, hey,
Don't feel bad. Welcome to the family. That means you're in the circle. Because listen, at the end of the day, like I tell people all the time, you can message me, I write back. Like I have fans, and it's hard for me to even say that word because it's like, huh? But I do. I have fans, and I message people back. If I don't, I'm like, listen, it's nothing personal. I just didn't see it, but I try to get back to people as much as I can all the time. And it's just so funny because, some people do catch feelings. I'll have people like, oh, well, you never messaged about, like, listen, do you know how many I get? And then I get people that ask me for my phone number. I'm like, I have 18 ways that you can communicate with me via text. No.
Yeah, you don't need my phone number. Yeah, no, I get. No, and that's something myself too. I only give that out to a few people that because that's something I've had that number for like probably 20 years. I don't want to have to change it for anyone.
No, it's incredible. And you know what? I implore you to keep your private life private as much as you can. Yep. Most people look. It's funny because they'll go, you don't have any friends on Facebook. I'm like, no. My friends list is hidden. Quite the contrary. I have 5,000 famous people on my friends list, which I don't want stalked. So that is why my friends list is private. But it doesn't say that I'm in a relationship. I mean, people question weird things with me all the time. They're like, but this and that. I'm like, but I'm trying to keep things
Well, we've entered such a weird time where people, they look on Facebook, they'll look on your Facebook page, and they think for some reason that all your information is going to be on there, and they're going to learn all about you on Facebook, and that's really not the case.
Most they have the right to.
Yeah, or somehow they have some kind of entitlement to that information. But it's definitely
it's the age that we're in. It is, because back when we had I think it started with the Us Weeklies and all that shit. Not that I've been in there. Now also that commercial that I was in, which is so funny because I didn't think it was ever going to air. I really just thought they were going to cut my clips and cutting room floor with this, and I didn't tell anybody. And then all of a sudden, people were like, "Dude, I've seen you 20,000 times on TV." They're like, "You did a commercial?" I'm like, I just didn't think that anybody was going to see it. So now I'm getting messages and messages and messages of people coming up to me. They're like, "You're that girl in the Plexaderm commercial." I'm like, I am.
That's great. That's awesome. But because sometimes they shoot those things months before they ever come out, or year before they even come out, because they're like, okay, well, we're not ready to put this out yet, and they get the material out there, and then and they throw you, then all of a sudden there you are, and everybody's like, it's happened to me actually with because of the shark diving thing. Or I've done interviews, and all of a sudden they recycle the same interview that was in a magazine like a year ago. And same thing comes out, like some of my pictures, and they're like, "Oh, I've seen some of your stuff in this magazine or what," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't even know." They just kind of took it. So tell me about In the Girls Corner. What's that all about? What is In the Girls Corner all about?
All right. Well, In the Girls Corner started really. Actually, it started out when I started doing the MMA thing. That I was predominantly not interviewing girls, but working with females. I really wanted mostly females working within it. And I still do, because you know what? At the end of the day, every publication that I see has very little to no females. So if I could put a female on to something,
underrepresented. Very
happy to do that. And also I try to be a role model, so to speak, for young women. You could be sassy and still have fun and classy at the same time. And I urge women to be little girls, be spicy, more spicy than sweet. You know what I mean? Be more spicy than sweet. The world takes advantage of the sweet. So, I try to also motivate guys, because there's people, I get messages from men and women all the time that are like, "Dude, your stuff is either really funny or really, really motivational." And I'm like, I try to make people laugh too, because the world's a really negative place right now. So if I can make you have a little chuckle on something, no problem, But I really do. I'd rather, right now there's just so much negative that if I can impart a little positivity on people, and I try to do that through In the Girls Corner. Also, it's very much revolved around MMA, tattoos, pop culture.
Well, I love it. The
MMA.
Yeah, the catch line. I love the catch. It's kind of like where tattoos meet MMA or something. You have something to that effect on there. I've seen that.
Where MMA and Ink are one, and it used to be where MMA meets beauty or something like that, because then that's how it originally started. So it's kind of morphed into so many different things. And now I've entered the pool world, which I've been an amateur pool player for, oh my gosh, 20 years, 19, 20 years, something like that. I've been an amateur pool player for a long time, which I didn't know you could really go pro. I didn't know anything about it until January 19th when I found out, oh no, there's you can be a pro. You could play in the amateur pro circuit. So now, done with the amateur thing, I definitely, I'm going to at the very least, try to, do more pro-ams. And if I could be the worst pro in the tour, I'm happy about it.
See where it takes you. Nobody ever, regrets come from people who don't do, not the people who go out and do. And no matter where it goes, at least you went out and did it, right? Even if it works out one way, great. If it works out another way, you still went out and did it, right? So,
people love to talk shit. I have this guy, I'm not going to call him out and even give him credit about saying his name, but he's in the pool industry, and he went out there and, she can't even run 3 balls, which is funny because I make them on a break, 3 balls and on a break, which a lot of guys can't. And I'm like, okay, yeah, funny. And he's like, she's not even good in this and that. And my team came in second.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not that good, right? And I was hacked it with pros, which he didn't, so I had to laugh about that.
Well, some people just got to talk shit, right? And,
They're your biggest fans.
I'm a firm believer in, you know what? the actions will put the words up there. I don't need to talk shit. Whatever I do, it's going to be, what I'm doing, not what I'm talking about doing. So
yeah, my work speaks for itself. I'm a big listen. I don't talk shit. I just love to like you said, I like to engage with people. So if I could put something up where I'm going to get people to interact, it's almost my own social experiment. Because I've noticed I get more likes and people love the mean-spirited, funny stuff more so than anything I'll ever put up, right? And people love to hate the political stuff, so it's my own little social experiment.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the most shit-talking that I do, and mine is all backed up by facts. So I'm like, listen, you're debating with the wrong person. Because whatever it is, I'm a journalist. I'm going to back it up with facts.
Well, one of the things I like to do, one way to get people engaged is just mention Trump in any way, before you throw his name out there. And I'm not a Trump fan, not a supporter. I don't know where you stand or anybody else stands, but I don't really care one way or the other. I just like to engage people. So I'll put something out there. I'll say, Trump has nothing to do with intelligence. and it just goes on. I don't even do anything else with that page. I just let it run. And I'm like, okay.
Once in a while, I retort to people, but it's only when I have like a very educated opinion to back it up. Yeah. But I do put up stuff like I took a dropping a bomb and walking away just to like sit there with my popcorn on the sidelines. You know what I mean? But my political views are this, right? And I'm very honest with people. And I've had people unfollow me because of my political views, but I've also had people tell me, well, at least you have it very educated. Like you could say why, what went, like I can tell you where everything went wrong, even in like my political, like I was Democrat forever. That was the first time I've ever voted outside of the Democrat Party. Now, mind you, in local elections, because you got to keep checks and balances, I do vote Democrat. But my thing is this, right? I love different, and I love arrogance.
Okay.
That sounds really bad. I also love winning. Yeah. I love a person that doesn't really care what everybody else thinks, what they have to say. I like controversy. I like all that stuff, but I love winning more than anything. Yeah. And as a hairstylist, that's my other side gig. I've gotten people into rehabs. I'm a life coach. I do a lot of things. Yeah. And I've had major things affect my life from the different political parties. Major things where people are like, oh, but, and I'm like, no, it's personally. And I could show you literal documents and stuff where this is my, benefits, this, that, there. So many things where the most I've ever been benefited in my entire life out of any presidency is the one we're currently in. Okay.
No, and that's fair enough. Like I said, I get
it's shocking. Do I like him as a person? No.
Here's the thing. I have people that are very, very opinionated in my life on that subject. Yeah. And there's people that go at it with me on it. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really care all that much, to be honest with you. It's more or less, here's the thing. I have another friend of mine who we could say we have very different political opinions. And we
probably like you and I
have an intelligent conversation about it, not get mad at each other, not unfriend each other.
That's my favorite conversation in the world, where you can go, you know what? Oh, well. And I have many friends saying things.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we agree to disagree, and that's it. And then we walk away from it, and we're still friends. But there's people out there.
Most people have very similar opinions on it, more than they realize, and it's the little more so. Okay, so people don't really like the person as a person because people are like, you really wouldn't have voted for Hillary, and it says on paper that. This like what the wants of what maybe they used to go with that, but on paper it said I would, but I said no. There is something shady as fuck about those fucking people, and keep that away from me. And and so I look at it as like that, right? So like, what do I want for the country and us, or what do I care about what the person has to say? But like I said, very into politics, and I look at what they all do. Because we look at people at a local level too, and that's where it all starts. Everything starts at a local level. Was it Bloomberg that threw his hand in the hat, and everybody's now like hating him for whatever reason?
Yeah. They're gonna hate whoever jumps in at this. It's just kind of, it's just what, politics have gone so off the rails.
And they're literally gonna hate on. It's the most incredible. The Democrats hate themselves. The Republicans?
They can't get their shit together to save their life. That's the problem. All they need to do is get somebody.
One person.
Who is not a complete jackass.
One person.
And they will be fine. They will beat him in 2020. However.
Universal law says no, though. Yeah, only because this is I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, when people are like constantly complaining about him, I'm like, just stop, because if you don't want to see another 4 years of him, you really need to stop, because universal law that says like what you put out there, you get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whether it's negative or positive, like I love that thing, The Secret, and they have like geniuses that are on there that say the same thing. Like you really have to mind your words, because like everything that I want to do is posted on the wall, written. You know, like, PFL this year is already written on my wall. Bellator, that's going to be March 13th. That's written on my wall. I have everything out.
Where's that this year?
I'm going to send it to you. It's in Connecticut. We should take a ride together. I'll send it to you today.
Yeah, definitely.
So I believe putting it out in there, to the universe. And that's why I used to be. And it's funny because I look at a lot of people look at Rory McDonald and they question, his faith and what it's done to his fight career. And we have a very similar path. I've become extremely, not religious, but extremely spiritual, where I do have little, I take things from different religions. And I don't have afraid. I'm not afraid to talk about it either. But I used to be very angry and negative, and my thoughts were very negative, and my posts were very angry. And this was before I started doing in the girls' corner and everything. But when I started to change, and I made a conscious effort to change negative or angry thought, and I made a real I still have to it's a daily effort to be a good person.
Oh yeah, got to work at it. You got to work.
It's a daily effort.
Yeah, because we gravitate towards the negative, because you know what, you get inundated with negativity on a regular basis with social media. It just piles in, you get negativity, and it's hard to stay positive.
Yes, it breeds. So the way that I see it is, if I can think positive, speak positive, do positive, write positive, right, as much as I can. I see stuff all the time that I could share. What happened to Walt Harris's stepdaughter, I refuse to share it, because what I saw MMA publications doing was putting her face and Walt and everything that they would put up. And then the hashtags, it would be hashtag, and I'm not going to call out her name, but it's her name, MMA. So you're literally trying to get likes and follows off of his tragedy. I have such a problem with that.
It's clickbait. Yeah, it's clickbait. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It really is. So I have a conscience, and I feel like the more people, and that's why I put out so much positive stuff. If I could drive people away from negativity, maybe people will see that positive change in their life and see things like, oh, maybe she's right,
And I think we've been out there in negative land so long that something has to change at some point. Because one thing, even the algorithms on Facebook, it's basically based on negativity.
It is. It's based on what you post.
Well, it's based on, they know that an animal getting abused is going to get so much engagement. They know that, any political stuff is going to get a ton of engagement. So what do? They feed with it all day long. And now
kid, with the 9-year-old that everybody's questioning if he's 9 or if he's 18, I said, well, first off, what I take out of that is that it's shined a huge light on bullying. Regardless of what this kid is, what he's not, if he's 19, if he's 18, the fact that everybody is so damn engaged with it. That's all I see. My every other post, I'm not going on Facebook for the rest of the day, because it's so disheartening that people literally just walked away from the anti-bullying to now they're literally bullying a human through their posts of, oh, well, he's okay. So you literally just were anti this 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And now you're doing I won't share the controversy of it. I shared the idea of,
the fact is, what difference does it make how old this kid is if he's getting bullied and he's, I saw a lot of those videos and stuff too, and it's heartbreaking. The kid was wanting to kill himself.
Yeah.
And, and you're going to bully him again by, with social media, which is, another wrong. You can't just do that. And that's, these
are adults.
Yeah.
These are adults. Now, mind you, I have a person that used to be a very good friend of mine who I say it all the time. I'm like, you're a fucking bully. You are a bully. No, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, no, you are. I'm a truth teller. I'm like, no, you say your opinions and what the truth of your opinion is, but it's not factual. And the way that you come at people, regardless of how you feel about it, it's very aggressive. And multiple people have called you a bully. And I said, and if it's everybody else around you that's saying it,
yeah, we got
a problem with all those people, it's you, common denominator.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to look at yourself at some point. If everybody's telling you one thing and you think something else, well, you got to kind of, you got to be intelligent enough to look around and go, well, maybe I don't know. It's kind of like there's a thing called the Johari window, and I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it basically engages. There's things you know about you. There's things I know about you that you don't know about you, and then there's things that that it's a shared discovery that neither of us know about you. And then there's the other window, which is the window that you try to bring everything into to make it all make sense, right? And that's the thing. I mean, there's people that just have this innate inability to look at themselves in a reflective manner.
Absolutely.
Which, it's sad actually, because they go through life a lot of times very angry and very upset about things and don't know why. So I just want to bring us back a little bit, because we went way off on a political tangent and a few other things. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about into MMA a little bit. So your passion started early on with MMA. You got away from it for a while, and then you came back to it and started writing. And you're prolific in your writing right now. Wrote for multiple different things. You've been on a bunch of different podcasts and different videos and things I've seen out there. Question for you is, Valentina Shevchenko, who the heck could beat her right now?
I think she's going to honestly retire undefeated flyweight champion.
Okay.
Heard it here first.
You might be right. You might be right, because I don't see anybody in that division right now that can touch her.
And I think the same thing with Khabib. Everybody keeps on saying, oh, this one's going to. Oh, that's what they do. But we've heard this how many times over. Yeah. And nobody has been able to solve that puzzle. If Khabib goes in there with Tony and does what Khabib does best, he's going to be Tony Ferguson.
Get him to the ground and just squash him. I mean, that's what he does. He gets you to the ground. Once he gets you on the ground, that I'll tell you what, that Dagestani grappling is it's just, and he gets you in that foot lock, where you get your legs locked up.
Yeah, like a light triangle almost.
It's kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. He's I've seen a couple people do it, but he does it the best generally.
Yeah, I know.
And then he sticks his head right underneath your chin where you can't breathe. And
I was just going to say, he smothers you to where you're worn out. Look at what he did to Michael Johnson, and everybody thought Michael Johnson was going to beat him. Everybody thought Conor McGregor, got to laugh about, was going to beat him.
Yeah, he just kind of lays on top of you and don't let you move, and then you struggle and get tired, and then you make a mistake, and he takes you out. I mean, that's generally, or he gets the decision because he's been on.
I want to see him fight Nate Diaz, to be honest with you. Super fight.
Yeah, good fight.
Super fight. Well, yeah, because Nate's got a great ground game that people always kind of like look past it, but he's got a fantastic wrestling. So I think if anybody that could hold up with his wrestling, Nate possibly could. Gregor, Gillespie possibly could, but I just don't see anybody beating him anytime soon.
Yeah, I honestly don't see someone could get lucky. You never know. I mean, it happens. If someone
he could in a super fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference is, when you get into striking and you get into that type of grappling or jiu-jitsu or any of that stuff, when you have somebody who's, a high-level striker and they stay on their feet, the other person could generally get lucky. Don't even have to be as good. Just get lucky with that shot, take you out, and that's it.
Yeah.
When you get into that ground game, though, it's a different story. If you're an expert if you're an expert in Dagestani grappling or jiu-jitsu or even a, really, really high-level wrestler, and you get somebody on the ground who is not, there is no getting lucky. You're not going to get lucky and accidentally get them in an armbar. They're gonna know how to defend all that stuff, and he knows how to do that, and he's an expert at getting you to the ground. I think the key to beating Khabib is keeping him on his feet.
Yeah. No, without a question, is getting him out of his game. Getting him out of his game, pulling a Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, getting him into their game would be the only way. But look at Conor McGregor versus him, and look at first of all, his fight with Conor McGregor. The only significant strike landed was by Khabib.
Yeah,
he knocked Conor down. And then you put him against Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier he's a great fighter. He almost, everybody, he almost had him, but that also speaks to the level of Khabib's wrestling, that he was in no trouble at any point with that guillotine.
No,
not at one point. Everybody's like, oh yes, he was. I'm like, no, he wasn't. He watched him in that guillotine. He adjusted his body to where there was no weight. He was completely in no trouble. He's just a special kind of fighter. But
Poirier had him under the
stand up. He knows he's not. Yeah. He's very intelligent. His fight IQ was like, all right, I know this could be trouble. Let me go down.
And those guys train like I was watching them on Anatomy of a Fighter. Those guys training out, and they're like playing basketball they're playing football with a basketball on like macadam.
And in the words of Joe Rogan, that's why we're gonna lose.
Exactly. They're like playing they're using a basketball to play football, and they're tackling each other on concrete. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they're just a different kind of human over there.
It's funny. I actually, when me and my friend hit pads, we do it in my driveway. People are like, "You hit pads in a driveway?" I'm like, "I don't give a shit where it is." I used to fight in the street when I was a kid. You think I care about it bowling in a driveway? No, I'd rather. Yeah.
Well, that's why I set up, in my backyard. I have a pretty decent sized backyard, and I have a platform. I have all my stuff out there. And in the summertime, my neighbors must think I'm out of my damn mind, because I'm out there with my, doing Olympic lifting. I'm doing my, MMA stuff. I do a whole bunch of different things.
I'm gonna have to come out there in the summertime when there's, that's when I have my good time. And I'm definitely. Besides, we got, PFL is in Jersey in the summers. Their playoff season.
Yeah.
No. The regular season, the second half is in Jersey, because their playoff season was in Vegas last year. So that's something to look forward to.
Were all the playoffs in Vegas? Yeah, I guess they were. Yeah. All the playoffs were in Vegas, because I remember I went to the 3 of the AC events.
I went to one of the AC events. This year, I'm going to think I'm going to go to all 3 AC events. And I'm going to try. I would love to get to their Vegas event. Yeah. If they do it there again, who knows? I mean, I don't even know where they're going with, with everything. And I know they must have gotten some crazy investors with the Roy McDonald deal. And, it's just crazy. I actually interviewed John Howard a couple days ago. And he was not let go, but he knocked out Ray Cooper.
Yeah. Yep. He knocked him out?
He knocked out Ray Cooper in dominant fashion this year. So, and the circumstances fell where he, I think it was different. If it was different, he was saying if he had fought, if the time or something had been different, he feels like the outcome would have been different, and he would have gotten that championship seed. But we talked about it. And he said, I feel like they're protecting their champion. I'm the only person to ever knock out Ray Cooper. Something to be said for that. And we were both. I'm very friendly with John. He's a really nice guy. We talk personally all the time, and we both had that thought that was probably the best thing ever that happened to him, because now everybody wants to fight the guy that knocked out Ray Cooper.
Yeah. Well, and that's and that's great. I mean, and that'll be good for him. I mean, is he in another league yet, or is he?
Not yet. I'm supposed to get the first interview. I think, and I told him my spidey senses are saying that he's going to either something's going to happen with PFL and they're going to have to re-sign him, because they've had a lot of people pop and they immediately get rid of them as soon as they pop dirty.
Yeah.
So I can't see them not re-signing him, but I think he's going to end up in Bellator.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be good for him too, because that's another pathway over to UFC.
He fought for UFC too. So
did he? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, John Howard's a legend in his own right. He's fought for everybody. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's one of 5 fighters with clinically diagnosed with autism.
Really?
Yeah. So I have a special place in my heart for him.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And shame on me because I don't know that much about him, and maybe now I'm gonna have to learn.
I got you. You just
I'm gonna have to learn a little more about him, and maybe get him on and talk to him as well because
Yeah, I'll link you guys up. He's a very good friend of mine. He'd love to come on. I know him.
That'd be great because I just actually did an interview with I don't know if you saw it yet with James Gonzalez. I
haven't, and I'm gonna have to watch it.
Check it out. I interviewed him last week. And the guy, just a real humble guy. He comes out of Matt Sarah's gym, and they got killers over there. They got guys out there such high level jujitsu. I actually sent you that video of him and Pat Sabatini, where he actually won the featherweight title. And the good news is Pat Sabatini's arm is not broken, which I could not believe with the way that thing bent.
Any tears?
There's some. I think the word is there's some tearing, and the shoulder was pulled out.
I knew it because there's no way that didn't cause any kind of injury. My injuries
definitely injury there.
Well, my injuries were from my shoulders were from falling down the stairs, and the reason why I got them was because. Sorry, my battery almost went. The only reason why I got my injuries was because I went to brace myself by grabbing the railing behind me.
Mm-hmm.
With my right,
what does it? Yeah.
With my right arm.
Yeah.
And with my left arm, when I fell, it went and I fell like on top of it. So I had an inverted arm bar this way, like a modified one.
Yeah, arm bar.
My right arm was in a Kimura. So when I really was like, all right, I'm going. There's like this is nothing else. Like I couldn't even hold on any further. I was falling. So like I kind of tucked, to make sure that like I wouldn't break my neck. I had 5 seconds to think about it, maybe even less.
Yeah.
Probably even less. And, it was a quick thought. But when I finally, it wasn't even like I let go. Like my body weight was just like floop. And it pulled my right arm.
Huh.
So when I landed, it pulled my left arm. So I was just like a pretzel.
Yeah. And, what do they call that movement in yoga? Twisted cross.
Yes. And no painkillers. Didn't relapse. Really excited about that.
That's great. That's great because, a lot of people would have taken that as a way to kind of say, hey, you know what? The doctor says I can do it. And that's one of the biggest things that you run into with that is.
No, I did eat a lot of cookies. I'm not going to lie. I did a lot of edibles. I'm an advocate for using marijuana as a painkiller and as a substitute to everything else that people are killing themselves on. Mm-hmm. I've had a problem with everything that I've ever done in my entire life, with the exception of smoking pot.
Okay. All right. Well, no, that's, I mean, if it works for you, that's, and that's, like I said, who am I to argue with it if it's not causing problems in your life?
I know people that are sober that still drink. It's wild, that are like, oh, I still drink. And I'm like, well, if it's not killing you, and I can't say anything because pot, you know what I mean? But I truly feel even people that say that they're fully sober are addicted to something.
Yeah, well, there's always, like I said, people would argue that I'm addicted to exercise and fitness.
Oh, and there you go. And you know what? It's okay. It's a good addiction. I'm not addicted to pot, but I am addicted to always having something to do. I can't. Really. At the end of the day, I can't not do anything. So that is a major, major addiction. But I can be addicted to anything in the sense of if it gets me like my endorphins going, where pot doesn't really do that. So I don't have that. But if like shopping, I could turn that into an addiction.
Oh, yeah. I could do that, especially now. It's so damn easy. I mean, you could sit on Amazon and just be like, bink.
I won't even go on it for that reason. I'm like, nope, I have to physically go into a store so that way I can go, okay, well, I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to put this. But my serious, I do. And I had a major addiction to kickboxing until I got injured. But silver linings, my friends, her family built one of the buildings, the local Y around the corner, and they redid the whole thing, and they got like everything but heavy bags there. Everything but. They got ropes, you name it, they got it. And they have stuff that I use in PT for my shoulders. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to go there and get my release and work out. And I guarantee you that's going to be my new thing. Is I'm going to be there every day, either in the pool swimming or...
My new thing is, and I hate to even tell you about it, is Pristine Auction. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's all like sports memorabilia stuff.
Oh.
So what you do is you bid on it.
Okay.
And it's just like a regular auction. It's just really cool stuff like Mike Tyson stuff and all
So when
kinds.
you see that you got something, it gives you a little like. Oh,
Yeah. It's kind of I enjoy. You know what? I don't even know if I want what I'm getting.
Happens to me all the time.
I just like the interaction. It's kind of fun. Because right now I'm actually in it for a Mike Tyson signed ring bell.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's an actually used ring bell.
That's wild.
And he signed it, and it's
That's
actually
wild.
so I'm in it now for that. So we'll see if I get that. I'll know tonight by 8:00 whether I got it or not. We'll see.
I love it. I'll be rooting for you.
I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it, but
put it in the background.
I'll put it somewhere. I'll put it somewhere. It'll find some home around here. I got all kinds of megalodon teeth hanging around. I got all kinds of stuff here.
I am jealous. That's the one thing I want.
Oh.
I keep asking people, I'm like, where do you go to find them? Well, I want to literally go and dig them up.
South Carolina. South Carolina is where you find them.
Really?
Yeah, that's where they used. That was one of their hunting grounds. If you go out to the riverbeds there and even into the ocean, right in that area, you could still find meg teeth if you know where to look.
No way.
Yeah, they're out
You
there.
might have to go on an excursion.
I love excursions, so I'm out all the time.
I have
And
a
speaking of
friend
that,
has a house in where the hell is it? He has a house in Cape Cod, which is like a hotbed for great whites right now. So I'm like, tell me when they're there, and I'm gonna literally give me like an hour. I'll be there.
Yeah, no, they. But the problem with white sharks and tracking them is they're so migratory that
I know. He said the same thing.
Even if you live there and you could get right to a boat, you're not going to find it.
I know.
And generally, it's really kind of because they move on. Same thing with you see them in Florida right now too, which is really rare to see white sharks coming that close to shore.
We're saying that,
because the water's too warm. The water is generally warm down there, and they don't like that. So, I'm actually working on another expedition out to Guadalupe Island down the road, probably in the next year or so.
You're going to Guadalupe?
Yeah, Guadalupe Island, which is the hotbed for white sharks. I've been there.
That's my dream. I'm that. That's like I'm that. I don't want to say kid because I'm 41 years old, but I'm that kid. Like I am obsessed. Shark Week. You won't see me leave my house during Shark Week. I'm glued to my TV.
Yeah, well, you're coming with us next year, right?
Yeah.
On the Tiger Beach expedition. So.
I always joked around and said if I got bit by a shark and that was my time to go, what a fucking way to go,
Yeah.
I joke around about it, but it's not a joke because I go up there and I'd be like hanging out at the pearly gates, like, how'd you go? I don't know, it's a heart attack. Yeah, I got bit by a fucking shark. What'd you do? You know what I mean?
Oh, hopefully we could keep that from happening.
Even if it's a flesh wound, what a battle wound to go home with.
The only ones who generally might get nipped here and there, and it's not even usually anything very serious, it's usually the feeder. The feeder will be the one that gets that because that's where all the action is. Everybody else is generally very safe, and we keep everybody in a good spot where you're going to stay safe with us. So it'll be fun. But real quick, because we got to go in just a minute, but I want to thank you again. So Khabib Ferguson, your prediction is Khabib.
Khabib.
That's only a month or two from now, right?
Yeah, that's it at Brooklyn. Yep.
And Brooklyn, so I'm planning to go to that. So
me too. Maybe we'll get something together.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see, Khabib Masvidal. What do you think would happen there?
Again, I don't think anybody's beating Khabib anytime soon. I don't think that flying knee. I think that he's going to be a little bit, I think he's prepared for all those fancy things that people are doing now. People like, Conor McGregor, how he can. I think he's a very intelligent fighter more than people give him credit for.
Oh, yeah.
He always says, this is going to be the guy. This is going to be the guy. Will it be entertaining? Yes. Will I be excited to see it? I'm co-signing it right now.
What about Masvidal McGregor? That's a fight.
Masvidal wins.
Yeah, Masvidal. That's kind of where I went to. But McGregor looked pretty damn good with Cerrone, but I don't know where that. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about that because
I love Cerrone, but it looked like he almost looked like, oh my, I'm in here with Conor McGregor, like that typical what used to happen, like with Dustin Poirier, like almost like what the fuck. But
I don't know. I've seen Cerrone take some hits. I've seen him
He's a slow starter though, so that was played very, very bad against him. He's a slow starter.
Yeah, but he shouldn't. I mean, shame on his corner maybe, because they should have prepped him, because Connor was going to come out with something to prove. Connor was bigger than he's ever been. He's at 170 in that fight. I've never seen Connor that big.
I was so happy, and I don't even like Connor, but to see him win in that fashion was amazing. I was pleased.
Came out 46 seconds, it was over.
I was pleased.
Which
and I've heard from my friends, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I'm just praying it's not a second fight. They're like, what? I'm like, he is notorious for knocking people out in seconds. And they're all going, those elbows are insane. I'm like, those are shoulders, my friends. They're like, why don't he's hitting him with the shoulders? They're like, what? Is that legal? I'm like, did you just question that?
Yeah. I mean, it's all good until the ref says it ain't. So,
hey, everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face.
You could grab the cage all you want until the ref tells you not to. So that's how the game's played. You want to drop elbows in different areas and do things. I mean, yeah, they're going to sanction you on it, but until they do, you're all good.
Absolutely.
So,
unless you're Conor McGregor or John Jones, and Herb.
John Jones poking people in the eyeballs with his fingers. Them long ass fingers he's got.
If it's Herb Dean in there, you could get away with anything.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a great conversation. It's a lot of fun talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you at more events. And like I said, you're coming on the trip with us next year.
Definitely.
And
we'll link up. You're my kind of person. We'll definitely.
Yeah, we have fun. We have fun. But anyway, all right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I cannot wait to do this again and to link up and talk again.
Awesome. Thanks.